Hi, I'm Bob Spinozzi, and welcome to another edition of Healthy Living with Emerson Hospital. February is National Heart Month, and on today's show, we're going to have a heart-to-heart conversation about heart disease. Now, to many of us, there's a misconception that heart problems happen mainly to older adults. Truth is, they can happen at any age. High rates of obesity and high blood pressure are putting middle-aged and even younger people at risk. My guest today is Emerson Hospital registered nurse Ginny Dow. Ginny is also the manager of the Cardiac Rehabilitation and Prevention Program at Emerson Hospital. Ginny and I will talk about the rehab program and also discuss stroke and heart attack symptoms and preventive measures that you can take to help protect yourself. So let's go down to Emerson Hospital. Ginny, thank you so much for being with me today.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited to share.
And as you can see, we're bathed in red, and it's February 1st, which happens to be National Wear Red Day, which symbolizes support and awareness for cardiovascular disease.
That's right. In particular, it's Go Red Day for women.
Okay.
And that started a while back from the American Heart Association because there was a lot of women that were not aware that they were at risk for heart disease. So that was their campaign to do more education, and as a result of that, many more women now are aware of them being at risk for heart disease that were not aware of that in the past.
You know, I used to notice the red on February 1st, and I kind of thought, well, you know, we're kind of close to Valentine's Day, but
Right.
That's not the connection at all.
We have an example in this program where a patient's life was probably saved from that because there was an ad on the radio about what women's symptoms would be. Her daughter called her and told her about women's symptoms. She was skiing, she got some symptoms, decided to go see the ski patrol, and she was in the middle of a heart attack. So the Go Red campaign is what helped her to actually recognize the symptoms of a heart problem in a woman that she wouldn't have before that happened.
Okay.
So it's very good.
And of course, heart problems, from what I understand, is the leading cause of death.
It is.
And there are many different types of heart diseases and problems. Why don't you tell us some of those?
So what we see here in cardiac rehab is people either have had a heart attack, which means they have blockages in their arteries, or they've got angina, which is kind of like, I like to say, it's like the oil light coming on your car.
Okay.
You didn't have a heart attack, but there's not enough oxygen getting to the engine, and it's warning you. And then when they have that, they'll have a stent put in. And sometimes when they have a heart problem, they also have a bypass.
So is this where there's plaque in your arteries?
Yes, there's a buildup of, it's called atherosclerosis.
Okay.
Cholesterol buildup from many different causes.
What are some of the other heart problems that people have? Some of this is hereditary. Is that?
Actually, probably about 20% of heart disease is genetic, about 80% is environmental.
Okay.
Okay, from the research that we know from Dr. Walter Willett from the Harvard School of Public Health, 80% is environment, 20% genetic.
And what are some of their names?
Other heart conditions that we work with here, valve disease. So yeah, there are some congenital heart problems with valve, and some heart valve problems are acquired. It's called acquired. So aortic stenosis is another problem we see, and people will have valve surgery for aortic stenosis. We also have mitral regurg is another valve problem. So valve surgery is another reason people come to cardiac rehab, and sometimes that's genetic and sometimes it's acquired.
Okay. Now, there are warning signs. Some of them more intense than others. What are some of the warning signs that we can look out for?
That's a great question, because one of my patients said if we talk about this in the public and education, one of the most important things is to not ignore the warning signs. So it can be not always the classic elephant on the chest. In fact, one of my patients said it felt like my cat was sitting on my chest, okay? You have maybe a pressure, a squeezing, a pulling in the chest. It's not going to be in your left leg, all right? It's usually in the chest or up, but it could be in the neck, the jaw, and it can be down your arm. And it doesn't mean you have to have all of those. You might just have one. But if you have that symptom and it's new and you can't really explain it by you just pulled a muscle because you did an extra strong workout, you go see the doctor because you don't know whether to decide that's from your heart or not.
So you're not going to make your own decision that this
No.
might be a false reading.
Right, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Right.
So you should check that out. If you're a woman, women tend to also have some different symptoms. They might have unusual nausea, unusual fatigue, That could be another, or back pain. We had another lady that came to the emergency room with back pain. Turned out that, and that was the lady that was skiing. It was back pain between her shoulder blades, and that was from her heart.
Yeah, something that you really wouldn't ordinarily
No.
think about.
Right. And it doesn't have to be severe, but it usually has to last longer than a minute. Everybody in the room right now is probably feeling chest pain. We usually say that when we give the lectures, that everybody starts feeling chest pain while we're talking about it.
Right
Yeah.
now. Okay, so an ounce of prevention, pound of cure.
Right.
Sounds kind of trite, but a lot of little things that you can do that add up
Right.
that maybe can help you prevent from getting
Absolutely.
heart
We
sick.
actually, we do have a prevention program we are offering here, but one of the things the American Heart also did is something called Life Simple 7, because they want to simplify all these guidelines. And I'm going to send you this picture, this slide, to show you those Simple 7. But the Simple 7 includes stopping smoking. The Simple 7 includes reducing your blood sugar and keeping your sugar under 100. Some people don't even bother to see that as a risk factor for heart disease, but sugar is very bad for your heart. Controlling your cholesterol is another thing for lowering your risk. Having your blood pressure, now people start getting annoyed, they keep moving those guidelines.
They
but
do.
Guess what? Really ideal is 120 over 80, and it's high now when it's over 130 and over 85. Another one is keeping your body mass index, and if you don't know what that is, you can go see your doctor to have that measured, but under 25. So basically keeping a healthy weight, and at least 150 minutes of exercise a week. And some people see that as overwhelming. So we can look at it as 3 times a day for 10 minutes, and then do that 5 days a week. Just move more. Another one is eating better, and this one's a very, very big reason why patients tell us they have heart disease. When we ask, why do you think you have blockages, the number one answer we get from the patient is their diet. Simple things that our dietitian teaches is eating more vegetables and cutting out sugar, which is hard to do.
And you know, there's some things like actually tomato sauce has sugar.
Right, there's a lot of hidden sugar.
There's a lot of hidden sugar in a lot of products.
Right, so I think that those 7 things are really important for helping reduce your risk.
Okay, as you said, we're going to pull those up on the screen.
Right.
So let's talk about your cardiac rehab unit here.
Mm-hmm.
You are in charge?
I'm a nurse, but I'm also the manager,
right.
but we have a great team.
You have a team.
Yes,
so
we
why don't we talk about the team? Why don't we talk about how long you've been here?
At the hospital, I've been here since 1980, but I've done many different roles. I worked in intensive care, I worked in education, and then I've been in cardiac rehab for over 25 years. So the team involves nurses, it involves exercise physiologists, there's a medical director, Anjum Butte, and we have a dietitian, we actually have a social worker, and we have a team of people that, because of the way they work together, we have team meetings. It makes the program more effective, that patients meet the team members individually, but we work in a group. Part of what makes the team strong is the patients work together as well.
Okay, so obviously patients are here in varying degrees of not being well. And your program is not one size fits all. You have design programs for each of your patients.
Right, they're individualized. Everyone meets the staff individually to individualize the treatment plan. They work in a different class, so we have 7 different classes.
Or some of the classes have multiple patients at the same time?
Oh yeah, there's up to 10 in a class.
Okay.
And then the patients progress through the program, but they all start in and enroll each week another new patient. So some people have been here a while longer, and they kind of mentor some of the patients that are brand new. And they work with each other. It really is effective with helping each other.
And Ginny, how long have you been with this program here?
Well, I began being per diem in the early 80s, but I began 1989. I started working in cardiac rehab.
Okay. Well, I'm about to meet one of your patients right now.
Yes.
So I'm going to do that. And thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Okay, bye-bye.
I'm here with Betsy Campbell. Mm-hmm. Betsy, you're a patient here. And
Yes,
you live in Chelmsford.
I do.
Okay, let's start at the beginning now.
Okay.
You had a heart attack.
I did.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it started with pressure in my shoulder and across my chest, and shortness of breath and down my arm. But it took over a week for me to realize that that's what it was, and scared the living daylights out of me. And, I finally ended up at the hospital because I laid down at night one night and couldn't go to sleep, had pain. It wasn't really pain, it was just pressure, and I couldn't sleep.
Betsy, when did you have the heart attack?
It was in August, and I ended up going to the hospital, and they referred me to my cardiologist here at Emerson, and he said I should have a stress test, which ended up being a nuclear stress test, and I subsequently had a heart attack and ended up being taken, to have a catheterization, heart catheterization, the next day. And they determined that I had a heart attack and that I had a fully blocked artery, which I had no clue that this symptom could lead to that. When they did, they ended up inserting a stent, and I came home and was referred to the Cardiac Rehab Program. That has been wonderful.
How long have you been coming to the cardiac program?
It's a 12-week program, 24 visits twice a week, and since the end of October, and I just finished up this week with my 24th visit, and the program has been wonderful. The program saved my life. I was a couch potato, watching TV 14 hours a day because getting off the couch, I was out of breath. And I wasn't doing much. And so what the program has done for me is took away my fear that I could now exercise. And as I came every time, they took my blood pressure, they asked me how I was, and then we did warm up and exercise and then cool down, which I found out is very important for the whole body system. And so here I am 3 months later, and I'm exercising every day and feeling great, no longer watching TV 14 hours a day.
And you have another family, because you are part of this family here at Emerson.
I do, and I have met people here that I've kept in touch with. I'm working now with one of the fellows that was in our class on a project in Chelmsford, helping transportation for the elderly. And I'm excited about that, to be able to volunteer and, give back some and feel like I can do that.
And you're going to continue on this program on your own now?
Yes.
At home?
Yes, and I am actually joining a fitness center at the senior center, and I also exercise with a friend who has a fitness room, and I bike with her 3 days a week. And senior center has chair exercise, which I understand is rigorous, and keeps you going. It runs an hour 3 times a week, and so I'm going to do that and work out at the senior center, which is awesome. They have a fitness room that is very comprehensive, so I'm excited about that.
You have so much enthusiasm. I'm getting out of breath just listening to you. So that sounds great.
Yeah.
You look wonderful. And this is your graduation. You said this is your last
That's right.
visit?
Yesterday was my last day. Oh, and by the way, I've lost 10 pounds in the midst of doing that. I've been on Weight Watchers for several years and got to a stopping place. And Julia has helped me tweak my diet and just make some changes that has allowed me to start losing again. So 10 pounds, I have 20 pounds to go, and I'll get to my goal and feel perfect.
You sound like you're going to make it.
Oh, I am going to make it, absolutely. I know now that I will. I wasn't always sure of that. I've given up before when it got hard, and so now there's no stopping me. I keep track of my steps on my pedometer, which is always in my pocket. And I try to get anywhere from 7,000 to 10,000 steps a day. And the steps are included in like biking or whatever. But there's no excuses in the world that will keep me from doing that. So.
Okay. So, Betsy, now that you've finished your program, what does your cardiologist think about what you've done so far?
Well, I just saw him the other day, and he had ordered a lipid panel, which is cholesterol measurement, and he's told me I was his star patient because my cholesterol is way down, and my HDL cholesterol was helped by the exercise here. It's up like 6 points, and everything is down. I mean, he just said, just keep doing what you're doing because you're doing great. So it's been, and I've had his support right along, and his office is wonderful to, you know, with a question, you know, they respond quickly, and as does the staff here. That, you know, I would come in with, you know, oh, I have this, you know, this thing going on, and they would always be receptive to, you know, it's either nothing to worry about or let's have it checked out or whatever. So blood pressure's under control, cholesterol's down, all is good.
Betsy, there are a whole bunch of other folks who are where you were when you were inactive. What would you tell them?
I would tell them that, first of all, don't ignore your symptoms. You know, see your doctor if you're worried about it. But don't be afraid of it. Just go and get it checked out. And, you know, you're in good hands when you're at the doctor's, at the hospital. You know, it's great. And then once you get through that, and don't be afraid, come to cardiac rehab, and it you know, it will change you, and you know, it'll give you a new lease on life. And so don't just sit there, start moving. And folks, one last piece of advice: it's February, it's Heart Month. Don't forget your heart. You need to take care of it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us here too.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this has been a red letter day for me, spending it with Ginny and Betsy. That should wrap it up. And thank you for watching Healthy Living with Emerson Hospital, and have a great day.